Welcome to Third Chances, a talk show where we like to hear from people who devoted their life to health, fitness and wellness. Medical professionals, health coaches and all the others who help us every day to cure our body, mind or soul. Those who always look for more natural, holistic ways to help even more people to live a happier and healthier life. Those who don't like to give up easily and settle on you or themselves. It is never too late or too soon. I always believe that every one of us deserves not just a second chance, but as many as we need. I'm Vera, your host. Who better than a master of reinvention with an accent to guide you through it, right? Just like they say, you are not a tree, so move. And God knows I have done just that in my own life many, many times. If you are not completely happy with the direction your life is going, this show may help you get the courage to change what is needed, find a new path, and take charge. So come on over, pour yourself a glass of wine, and spend some time with us. Let's laugh and cry together and get inspired by people just like you and me who overcame their own doubts and took a leap of faith to reinvent their life on their own terms. I hope and pray that we help you on that journey. And if you feel so compelled and inspired, please let us know. Don't be shy. Who knows? You may just be our next featured guest with another inspiring success story. So here we go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Third Chances. Today's episode is the first time I have the opportunity to interview a couple, a power couple, I would say. It's Jerry Yerke and his wife, Denise Cato. And let me just tell you a little bit about them before I introduce you to them personally. Jerry is a result-driven marketing executive with over 30 years in direct sales industry experience. Born and raised in Michigan, he takes pride in his Midwestern work ethic and values. Jerry's early experience as the owner and operator of 7 Domino's pizza franchises has given him valuable insight into leadership, team building, and operation management, which he has leveraged throughout his whole career. Direct sales industry career that has encompassed sales, operations, organizational growth, training systems, business development, strategic planning, and launching global markets. Jerry is a firm believer in the power of teamwork and collaborations and has worked to develop strong, effective teams that can drive growth and achieve business objectives. He's also a loyal friend and passionate college football fan. He enjoys spending time with his loved ones and friends and cheering on his favorite team. And if it involves a good cup of Dunkin' Donuts coffee, that will make his day even better. This is what I know about Jerry by now. And I met him personally, I believe last year in Texas. If I may say so, and I'm not flirting, what first attracted me to Jerry was his wonderful blue eyes. So if you want to watch this on YouTube and his great looking wife, Denise, please do so. But the only thing I know about Denise is that she worked closely with Jerry for over 15 years. And she knows, understands, trains more on the details, including the company that we are both involved right now, more than anyone that Jerry knows in his 32 years of career. That's what he told me about her. And I'm hoping we will learn much more about both of you. And thank you so much for making time for my podcast. Welcome to my show.
Thank you, Vera. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. I'm sorry?
It is an honor. I was going to say thank you so much. It's an honor and so delighted that you even asked. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, you know, there are certain people that stand out to you immediately. And you were one of them. I didn't have the pleasure to know your wife, but you were speaking somewhere on video and you caught my attention because of your values. And then you may not remember, but we were at some conference in Texas, and I turned around and I thought it looked like you. I wasn't sure because all I remember was your face from Zoom call. And so I actually turned around and asked you if you were Jerry by any chance, and you said yes. And I was like, wow, that's so nice to meet you because I heard you speak. And usually I have good reading of people, and you made wonderful impression on me. And I can appreciate somebody with your huge business experience being a humble human being and being there for friends and colleagues and being there for other people to lift them up. And that's a big deal. So if I can touch on the beginning, because we all know your career from last 30 years, but that's not your whole life. And I would like to ask you how you grew up and what drove you to start looking into owning business, if that was your first choice, or what were you planning to do when you were really young?
Great question. Thanks for asking. For myself personally, I knew from my parents, I'm a firm believer that we are a product of our environment. And I was blessed with a great mom and dad, very humble, very low to middle class, as we would describe here in the USA. But they taught me some valuable lessons. And I watched them very closely as we grew up. And I decided at a young age, I didn't want to be in the same category, or let's just say hamster in the wheel. And one thing that they instilled in my life was you could be whatever you wanted to be. Mm-hmm. So I knew that I didn't want to work for a particular company. They both worked for General Motors World Headquarters just outside of Detroit, Michigan. So that's where my upbringing. Mm-hmm. So eventually, as I went through the beginning of my adult life, I was very independent and was very blessed to partner with Domino's Pizza, the corporation. I was an independent franchise owner, and that's where I started. I also had a career in real estate right before that. Okay. So I knew I didn't want to be tied down, although later I was a corporate executive for many companies. Right. I didn't look at it as an experience of being, that same hamster wheel that I was sharing with. Mm-hmm. Gave me the flexibility. I was able to travel the world many times over. I've been to the Czech Republic, by the way, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And just opened up my eyes. I've been very much a people person. So what drew me, obviously, to the industry of direct sales, relationship marketing, network marketing, I like to think of it as next level marketing, as we are very blessed with Tyler Norton. Yeah. We're in the people business, and it's just something that we love to do.
It is interesting you said that, because there's such a stigma about sales in general, because I was in sales most of my life, but I have never been involved in this model of business. And mm-hmm. there's such a stigma still about MLM. And people look at it like that's the scheme, the pyramid, the mindset is back in 50s when there were some companies that were not doing the best business, I guess. And you, out of all people that I know, you have experienced the leadership of multiple different network marketing companies in the market. So you have a way to compare. And of course, I don't want you to name names and trash anybody, but sure. You have seen I believe you have seen the good, bad, and ugly. And there is a reason why you were, how to call it correctly. You didn't stay somewhere for extended period of time. You were kind of switching companies. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I have friends that are actually headhunters for the industry
Mm-hmm.
on a corporate level. They're actually hired to find people to take different executive roles. And in my conversations with them, here we are in 2024. The world has changed. The industry has changed.
Yeah.
And what really attracted us, and there's so many different categories, and I can't wait to hear Denise share hers as well. But one of the things when you look at ASEA, and Vera, one of the most amazing aspects of what I've experienced for 22 years is every company that I've been associated with, and we've been associated with, we were prospected. People wanted us to join their particular organization of that company. And we've always said no, it just wasn't the right fit.
Yeah.
But I've known about ASEA for over 10 years. And what you brought up something very interesting. When you're on the corporate side, we get together for different corporate events, whether it's training, whether it's direct sales association. So even though it is a multi-billion dollar industry, it's still very small, and you rub shoulders with the people. So we knew the owners of many different companies. We knew the top income earners or top leadership. Love your dog in the background. We have a few as well. So what's interesting is we knew the players in the industry. So we knew about ASEA. We knew Mr. Dan Doyle had relationships with some of the top networkers in this great company, Mel Sword, John Bash, Ed Weens. We knew them personally because both Denise and I worked on the corporate side of a company that they were distributors.
Okay.
So we knew the people. And when you're on the corporate side, you get to see behind the curtain. You get to what we say in America, especially coming from Detroit, Motor City, you get to see under the hood of the car, the inner workings. So that really gave us a very high level perspective. And ASEA is the only company ever that I've said, you know what, I think we want to be in the field and we want to be independent associates with this great company.
Yeah, that's not a very typical approach. That's what makes you very unique. And I'm so sorry I have to, if you happen to hear some barking, I am dog sitting for my friends and he just decided to be part of this podcast. So sorry. He's normally very quiet, but Nico is something else today, I guess. It's my last day dog sitting him, so I couldn't just, I couldn't. My cat is hiding in the bedroom, so I cannot lock him up there. I'm so sorry. But Denise, you were involved in this same business for how long?
About as long as 2008. Since
From
about
2008.
2008. Yes.
What did you do before that?
I worked from home in event marketing, and I was raising 3 young children at the time. So I've been working from home since about 1998.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Well,
so when I
that's
met
hard work
Jerry,
to raise children.
it was, but I have been working from home for that long, and I love the flexibility, the freedom to do what I need to and prioritize on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to raise successful children. Jerry entered and helped me do that, and we've been working together ever since very closely.
Which is
So
unique on its own because some people can't even work together. I know that. So that's very honorable.
He often says we're 6 inches apart because at times we were literally sitting at the same desk working hours and hours together.
That's wonderful. That's a great partnership. It's really rare that people can work and kind of like feel each other's strengths and weaknesses, if that makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
Jerry mentioned that you are really the power behind the scenes because you are the one that trains, that takes care of the, what do you exactly do when you work together? What would you say is his strength and your strength?
Um, that's a good one. I think speaking is Jerry's strength. Relationship building, following up, those are his strengths. And mine, I think where I stepped in was my comfort in use of technology. At a time when technology was moving very quickly, from around 2008, the tools that you can create, the videos, the emails, the newsletters, everything. And so I think that was why he thinks I'm a powerhouse because I was able to do all of that.
Well, that's a huge help because trust me, I'm doing this all on my own and learning as I go. And it's such a time eater that you can spend contacting people instead. And so I can appreciate having somebody like that on my side that would take all that responsibility away from me. It's a huge help. So you are a big powerhouse because that's either you have to pay somebody to do that, which is not cheap, or you have to just spend the time and learn the ropes. And that's what most of us do when you start your own business. Obviously, Jerry was in a little bit different situation as a former executive. He had people and teams before to help him, and he can be there and make decisions and make strategies and run the business. But so
Yes.
it's a big part of the value that you bring into the table. When the more you work together, the more you do together, is it making your relationship stronger? Is it bringing some conflicts into the table when you may disagree on strategies? Is he somebody
I
who?
think that we are best when we are working and building together, creating projects and tools, because you're right, it is like a pool of talent and strengths.
Mhm.
Um, our weaknesses are less when we work together on projects. We create a lot of tools, training systems, back office programming, promotions, so many different things. We rolled out apps that took a lot of time to work with app development teams. So yes, we did it all. We did it with very few people on our team in order to execute. So yes,
Well,
I think
because
it
he had
was
you.
stronger.
Because he had you.
You-
So back to Jerry, when you were executive in different companies, you didn't work from home at that time because this is long before COVID hit. And then we somehow learned, all of us, to kind of rely on home office and be able to be more flexible using technology like Zooms and connecting with people. It used to be that you have to travel in person everywhere. You have to be on stages everywhere. Now it's a choice you can make. You can, and you don't have to. Possibly you can approach people from other side of the world over Zoom. Does it make your life easier, or do you miss that part that you had to be in the office and kind of have the team together in the dynamics?
Yeah, it's another great question. Thanks for asking that. I do enjoy working from home, but I also do miss the travel. Um, for 22 years, almost every day, different country, different hotel, different taxis, different airports. It was amazing. I think the biggest benefit of the executive travel, and obviously, as our team grows, so will that schedule grow. When I think of the great leaders, and we have so many in ASEA that have paved the way. There are pathfinders, and they have such big teams and organizations that they're in that role. They do have quite a bit of traveling, and it's a great mix ever since pandemic. They've been able to mix it very well, and we all have. It just like this right now. We're
Mhm.
not in Florida with you.
Yeah.
We're in the opposite of the United States, the opposite coast. So it allows that to happen. Just today already, several Zoom calls with different people, teams, prospects in different countries. So two things. Number one, it makes it easy. Technology, as Denise mentioned, brings that home. But there's always something about seeing people face to face. Even a Zoom call can't quite do what it is like when we're meeting face to face. So yeah, I do miss it. You know, it's the best of both worlds, and it was a great, great career. If there was only, I would say many times to myself, there's only one company that I really would even consider, not that I'm going to, is the great company of ASEA because of the foundation. Tyler Norton, our CEO, Scott, um, Daryl, Frank, Linda Luther, all the great people, Corey, that we get to work with on a day-to-day basis. So teams win championships, and we're surrounded by a great, great team.
What makes it so unique for you? Because you have that unique comparison to be able to evaluate other teams, but there is a general comparison why ASEA stays so unique on the market and why she stands up to people like you who has experienced so many different business models.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about it? Because I remember you said something in Texas that stayed with me for a long time. You said it from stage, and maybe you are not comfortable to repeat it here, but it was something that stood out with me when you talked that, you know, if you think there are other people like Tyler Norton in this business.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's very easy. And thank you for remembering that. Wow. Where do I begin? By the way, Denise and I met at a launch of a company. So the industry, you never know who you're going to meet at events. And of course, that was life-changing and very, very grateful for that. But I'll break it down for you. There's a lot of very good companies in our industry, a lot of very good ones. It reminds me of a book written by a gentleman by the name of Jim Collins. And the book is titled Good to Great. ASEA is a great company. And the reason why is I'm a firm believer that everything rises and falls on leadership. You happen to know, and you've been a part of ASEA long before we are or have been. And we never got a chance to meet Vertus Norton, the founder of ASEA. But we get to live through Vertus's life with Tyler Norton. And I can tell you that I have no problem making a statement. In my career, spans over 30 years, 22 being on the corporate side, I've never met a founder, a man of wisdom, integrity. He's changed my life in many different ways, even little things on how he treats people. I'm a big time observer of people. I like to watch people, see how they interact. How do they treat people? What do they say? Do they bring across sincerity, integrity? And that's Tyler Norton. Yeah. And I shared on stage at that convention you're talking about, when Tyler handed me a book that meant a lot to him, and I'll just briefly share, there's a term, it's called etymology. And I never knew the word etymology before I met Tyler. And one of the times I was in the boardroom that's sitting right behind me on the screen, Denise and I were both there with a small group, and I asked Tyler for some words because I love his style of speaking. Yeah. And it's very profound, it's unique, and it's compelling. And he said, I'll be right back. And he went into his office. A couple minutes later, came out with a book, and he handed it to me. And he said, here, this is my gift to you. And I later found out that it was his book, he wrote something that is very meaningful to both Denise and I. And I've probably read and listened to that book more than 10, maybe even as much as 15 times. And it's the study of words. It's called etymology. And so now when I hear him speak, I know exactly where those words came from. And so I shared one of those. Actually, I shared three of those words in Dallas, Texas, or Dallas, Fort Worth. One is Genshai, and this is in relationship to both Vertus and Tyler Norton. Genshai is the ability to never look down upon people, always be on the same level, but respect them even to a higher level. Well, that describes Tyler and Vertus Norton. The second one was called Sapari Vidari. It's a Italian word, and it also means and brings into the highest level of vision. Well, the great companies in the world started with a vision. And our company, ASEA, started with a vision. It was Vertus's vision. And Tyler has taken that upon himself to create that. But it's a vision in third degree. It's the highest level so that you can see forward, you can see backward, but you can also see internally. And both Vertus and Tyler have Sapari Vidari. And then the last word is called Pathfinder. And that's the true word of leadership. They've paved the way for so many others. So profound. And there's so many other ways that Tyler has touched both Denise and I and millions of people around the world.
Thank you for that. That's beautifully said. I don't remember who said it on my podcast. I had another person that works with the company closely, and he said that when Tyler was asking his father, who was this brilliant strategist for Kraft food and in charge of huge budgets and the business strategy behind it. And when Tyler asked his father one day, so what is your big life wisdom to leave me with that I should go to the world with? And supposedly his father just turned to him and said, think. And it's so huge because when you start working on personal development, when you start growing in this field, you realize that really hardly anybody thinks these days. We are very much consuming and responding and reacting. So the strategy must start with the vision and with the thinking. And we spoke briefly before this podcast, and I asked about Denise. She is the powerhouse behind your power couple because she puts the strategy into what your ideas are. That's what I'm assuming is happening, because you need somebody who can actually implement these things. And Denise mentioned her love for technology, and I think this is big part of our today world, that we have these tools to implement, but the idea and the strategy must come first. The vision must come first for you to be able. Is this the same thing that attracted you to this company? Do you appreciate this kind of visionary leadership that we have, or is there more that you see that maybe Jerry didn't mention?
Oh, you're asking me. Okay. Yes, by far, we've never encountered a leader like Tyler Norton and obviously Vertus Norton. It is just so compelling and so profound every time you hear him speak, whether it's live, in person, informally, or on a Zoom speaking, addressing thousands of people. It's very moving. And we've worked with so many corporate executives and company owners, and they were always missing something. And so that is why we are here. We're here to stay because of Tyler Norton and his family.
I think that's a big what you said, because I have experience with other companies, not in this business model, but of course as an employee and as a business owner. And I always say that, like, every place you go, you must find this one jerk that decides to make your life living hell. If it was a corporate world, or there's always somebody that just, I don't know, enjoys to be compatible, whatever, and they don't always show it the most beautiful way. I have yet to find that person in ASEA. I have met many, many, many people that are involved with this company for a really long time, and
Mm-hmm.
there's none. I think what Jerry said, that it starts from the top. The
Mm-hmm.
culture of this company is so unique in the business world that it attracts really special people. That's why I brought before, some people have this old mindset from, I think 50s, 60s, when the companies, not every company was the most honest in the world of business, and they were very much driven by money, which we found, and it's been proven for 15 years now, that this company is not driven by ego and economics. It's people
Mm-hmm.
and principles first, and that's really unique. And it's not cliche. We see them living it every day.
We
So
do.
it's, how would you approach, if somebody asked you that question, Jerry, if somebody approached you that he wants to be involved in this business and start on this foot, what would come to your mind? I was turned off.
Yes. We've experienced that as well. I think probably one of the things that really hits home is, at the end of the day, people are people. It doesn't matter what country, what background, different cultures. I truly believe that people really do want a couple of things. They want a better life, and much of that is driven by health.
Yeah.
So when you have what we have with ASEA, that really hits home to the foundation, not only from a product foundational native to our bodies, but really is the missing link. And that gives you the certainty, the confidence, and the ability to share. Um, Many things come to my mind right now, different aspects, but I believe it's about asking questions. The great leaders that we do have that have really achieved the highest mountaintops of this industry with ASEA, they're all about asking questions. Very first thing that comes to mind is the sincerity. As we all know, there's a saying, people don't care what you know. At the end of the day, they just want to know that you care. So just be yourself, ask questions. For some people, it will really hit home. It'll be a great fit. For some people, it's not a fit, but it might be a different timing story. Um, we haven't mentioned it, but I've actually said no to ASEA for 7 years. I was asked 3 different times by Mr. Dan Doyle, twice in person, once on a Zoom call, and said no, just wasn't the right time. Wasn't even thinking about it. And so don't give up. Ask questions, keep in touch, build a relationship, nurture it, plant the seeds. For some, it'll be the right time. For others, it'll be later on.
Yeah. We didn't ask this before the show, but I'm hoping, and I would like to ask you both. Do you have your personal story with ASEA? Do you have something that you achieved with the product that changed your life, health, or someone you love closely that you would like to share?
Denise, you first.
Okay. When Jerry said yes, he was the one that said yes. And I said, okay, then I'm going with you to Utah because I need to learn more about the company and the product. I am a researcher, and for me to basically put my name on it and recommend something, I have to know that 100% it's real and I can believe in it. And I'm very proud to share ASEA, even though it takes some time to educate people and identify who's open and who values their health more than the quick fixes and the pharmaceuticals. But for me, I didn't know what to expect in the beginning. I was superficially looking at, okay, I want to improve my skin. Will this improve my skin?
Yeah.
I literally was taking photos every day of my face, trying to see if there was a difference from the first day, and I wasn't seeing it.
Mhm.
So what I didn't know was on day 28, the frozen shoulder that I had been struggling with for almost a year prior, wasting time going to physical therapy, seeing doctors, struggling, not having range of motion, not being able to wear certain clothes because it was difficult. On day 28, I woke up at Saturday morning and my frozen shoulder was gone. At that moment, I said, oh my goodness, I think there is something here. I think it's true.
Yeah.
And so from there, I had belief. And then the next piece of evidence, other than the people around us starting to have immediate results, Jerry's own testimony is quite amazing. And I think he should share that.
Yeah, yeah, because we never talked about it. And I would really like to know, because all of us, I think I can speak for all three of us, wouldn't start with something that we were not 100% convinced it's a real deal. And for me, I was very much like you. I wanted to see evidence. I wanted to read. I immediately purchased Dr. Lee Ostler's book. I wanted to learn more about it because I never heard of it. And I was
Right.
I was in holistic space before. I was doing very specific diets for people with different diseases, and even people with in treatment of cancer with to boost their immunity and everything. So I knew everything you can do with food and supplements. But this was a
Mm-hmm.
whole new level that I never touched on, of course, never knew about it. So it was mind-boggling for me. And I had results really quickly as well. So that was kind of like that was encouragement for me to go and show it to people. What was it for you, Jerry?
Mine was quite unique, but yet today it doesn't surprise us when we hear the amazing stories. And stories, a word that I think is so congruent with ASEA because we are in the storytelling business about the stories. And as our dear friend Cindy Buck says, if we just got paid in goosebumps, that is all that we could dream of or ask for. And it is quite amazing. So I'll take you back. Over a 30-year period, I've had a health challenge that is very common to millions and millions of people, usually 40s, 50s, 60s, and above. It's called DVT. It stands for deep thrombosis, deep vein thrombosis. It's a cardiovascular challenge. So I'm going to be as compliant as possible. It is serious at times. There were 2 times over the course of my travels on a global basis where I had something happen and I should have actually died on 2 different planes. When we landed straight to the hospital, was told that pretty much I was a miracle because a lot of people don't survive that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a regimen, I've had medication. I had to be very careful, especially traveling, sitting in a position for a long period of time. And also visibly, I live in California. I've always loved to wear shorts and flip-flops and, be athletic. And because of this certain challenge, the insides of my legs, not on the outsides, but on the insides, from about my knee down to my ankles, it was pretty much very dark, purple, I like to say black and blue, but it was more of a purplish because the blood flow would go very well down, but the blood wouldn't come back up. And after many years of this challenge, the valves in your cardiovascular, in your veins, wouldn't work as properly. Well, it was about somewhere between 30 to 35 days after being on the product. Denise and I went to a barbecue. Don't ask me why. I wore shorts that day. We went to the beach, and I got one of these little elbow, like a lot of women do with their husband, catch their attention. And Denise very polite and quietly said, "Look at the insides of your legs." And I hadn't even noticed it. I mean, I do take showers, I wash my body, but it occurred to both of us that the color had completely changed. No longer black and blue, no longer purple. It's about the skin color, if you know what a birthmark looks like. It's a little bit different, but it was a vast improvement. And so I've noticed, Vera, throughout the almost 2 years now of being on this incredible, amazing molecule cellular health product, that I don't have that challenge anymore. And I still go to my local doctor about twice a month because I have to get my blood levels checked. And they've been spot on ever since. And it's pretty interesting because even my doctor, who was educated long before the last 25 years, has no clue what redox is. And I knew that going in. So really the studies and everything that is done. So personally, on Alan Noble's incredible website, I think I'm somewhere around 118 when it comes to the testimonials, somewhere around 118, but talking about cardiovascular. So it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to share what it's done to us personally. It's made a life-changing experience.
Oh, that's what I believe exactly. And let me just give a little disclaimer that we are talking about product that is cellular health signaling molecules. It is not intended to treat, diagnose, or heal anything. The body simply is replenished with these molecules that we had much more of them when we were younger. And all we do is empower our own body to heal itself and detect, repair, and possibly replace the cells that needs that procedure. So I just want to make sure everybody understand this is not something that heals you, but it empowers your own body and your own inner doctor to take care of things, and in a way that no other product so far seem to be doing such a deep work, because it affects absolutely every single tissue, organ, and part of your body. That's one part of the uniqueness for me. What inspired you to build a business around it when you have sit on companies' boards of directors or executive positions before? What was the thing that inspired you to, this is worth to build business around? Because direct sales, if somebody's listening to it and doesn't know what it means, it's all about duplications. You can start sharing the product because you are passionate about it and make some money, or you can build a business around it by building a team that will help you share the product with other people, and you multiplying the power and impact that you can have on somebody's life and health by having a team of people that you help to build them up. But you were in a directive kind of positions before, you were in executive positions before. So one would think, why would somebody like that then decide, okay, I want to start from the bottom, I want to build this? It's kind of unique angle for you, for both of you. Jerry.
You're definitely right with the word unique. If I'm not mistaken, we're probably the only ones, or maybe there's others, but I haven't heard of any that came from the same industry, but from the corporate side.
Mm-hmm.
I would say what gave us and myself a very good perspective is, first, I was a small to medium business owner. So I understood business, employees, distribution, but it wasn't on a global aspect. So the industry of direct sales offers you the ability to think globally, not just locally. And that was very attractive. So that was, some 30 years ago, transitioning from a small to medium business owner to a global business owner, and then went into the corporate side. Um, Within the industry, there's only two choices for um, Denise and Jerry, a couple like ourselves, or even as individuals. Mm-hmm. You can either look for another corporate position, but I'm here to tell you, Vera, it has to be the perfect timing story. Like I might be ready, or we might be ready for a certain company that we're attracted to, but there's no openings. They just hired somebody, or they've already have the role fit or placed. Well, you're not going to just wait for that person to either leave, retire, quit, get fired, whatever the case might be. So you need to look at different possibilities. I think it boiled down to timing in our life, our career, and obviously the timing story of ASEA. Every single day we get the pleasure of talking to people. And if I could really hit the nail on the head, it would be, we decided to leave the career and actually wrap our arms around the calling. And that's what ASEA is for us. It's a calling. It's the ability to really impact lives on a different level than we've ever experienced before. We're very grateful for it. And there's so many amazing leaders on both sides. I mentioned a few of our corporate leaders, but there's so many names. It would take hours just to name them all, from many different departments, from customer service to our foundation and what Kim Marie has done and what Tammy Phillips has done, Chuck Funky, the foundation that he laid as CEO. And we've only experienced a short time, but there's so many. And then on the field leadership, quite frankly, we've never seen it. And keep in mind, for anybody that's listening to this, ASEA is not perfect. Amazon's not perfect. YouTube's not perfect. Elon Musk and his companies are not perfect. But this is the closest we've ever seen. And I'll just mention one thing back to Tyler again. The difference between what he has set for us in ASEA, and this is a promise that Denise and I have heard him say in that boardroom right behind us. We've heard him say it to us personally in a private meeting, and we've heard him say it in front of thousands on a stage. He is committed to making sure that ASEA is the branch, like a tree, that Vera, that we, that millions of people can stand on. And his job is to make sure that branch doesn't crack and doesn't break. And I believe him. We trust him. We've seen it with our own two eyes. So bringing it back home to all of us, this is a branch we can stand on, and we know 100% it's not going to break.
That's fantastic, Lisa. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's really interesting that we all feel the same about these people that started this, and we feel even so more responsible for cherishing this product and making sure that it's in a safe hands and that it can actually impact people's health for generations to come. You mentioned Dan Doyle, and I had the pleasure to meet him, and I had the pleasure to have him on my podcast, and he shared his incredibly powerful story of what happened to him and how he actually came across this company, and most likely the product first. Somebody like that who was basically sent home to put his affairs in order.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then he's here 10 years later to tell his story. It's something that just, that's the goosebumps that we get from sharing this product. And I'm just surprised that Dan didn't get you right on the first try, because when I heard his story, I was speechless. And so if somebody who is listening here and is trying to think, I may have to start a, plan B, or I need a different stream of income, because what I'm doing right now, it's not sustainable, or it's not enough to support me. Or like me, I was in physical business, and then God forbid you get sick and you have no money coming in, because it's up to you. You are service provider. Any business, and you have again that comparison because you were franchisee owner, that requires a huge investment to enter. It is good business, but you have to pony up some chunk of money to purchase the franchise. Or am I wrong? But can you tell the difference, how accessible this business is for anybody who decide that this resonates with them, that they may want to have this kind of impact with the product that changes people's life? What does it mean to start business like this from your perspective? And either of you can touch on it, because I know Denise is very much involved in building and training. So whichever would like to take the board. What if somebody is looking at this like, I don't know if I can do this? What do they need to know to decide for themselves if that's the right business for them?
Denise.
Well, I think your franchise comparison is probably necessary here.
Okay. It depends on how many hours you have, Vera. You're exactly right. I mentioned Domino's Pizza. It's a great, great franchise. I just loved it. It was, at the time, everything that I thought would be a long lasting career. It's a wonderful company and what they stood for. However, huge, huge investment. We're talking millions of dollars to have seven. I grew it to 7 stores. And at that time, I could write a book of what that means. You live in those stores. You're married to those stores. I can think of so many different times. I actually slept in some of those stores because you didn't go home. Yeah. Such a big investment that you overseeing everything. Hundreds of employees. There's customer service. Let's put it this way. If I could have taken every phone call, yeah, made every single pizza, delivered every single pizza, then that would be a great thing. But when you're talking about hundreds and thousands of pizzas going through your operation on an hourly basis, you can't do all of those by yourself. Yeah. You have to rely on people. So that's where the challenge comes in, and they don't treat it as their business. Unfortunately. So let's change that to, and you're also, what's the word? You're also controlled by a certain amount of circumference. You could only deliver a pizza within 8 to 10 minutes of your local Domino's pizza store.
Your market is limited, yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Your market is limited, yeah. Thank you. So it was not global by any stretch of the imagination. Now, if I would have owned 1,000 stores or maybe 300 stores, like some of the biggest franchise owners did, that would be a different story. So that's why it was a medium or a small to medium franchise.
But the quality people, as you mentioned, it's such a hard.
Hard. It's hard.
That's what all the headache come from when you need to
Yeah.
find people that you can actually rely on to run that store properly and being on the professional level that you are looking to maintain because your name is on it.
That's right. And I mean, this leads, like I said, it would take hours to explain and share stories. There's theft involved. There were literally people that were getting new tires, new stereos in the car, and they were trading your pizza for that product, which means that's coming right out of your bottom line, right out of your product. So all of those stories set aside, let's transition. When you have something like this, where there's not the expense, not the risk, not the millions of dollars of investment, but generally speaking, as low as $40, maybe a couple $100 at the high end, possibly $1,000. And then you get to expand it on a global basis. There's no comparison. And yes, there is the ability to be able to impact lives. Vera, I'll sum it up this way. Every single day, Denise and I, as well as other associates like yourself in ASEA, as well as the corporate employees, are hearing the stories every day of lives being changed. In my close to 20 years of a franchise owner in Domino's Pizza, I never had the ability to change somebody's life. It was a pizza, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
They got to eat something that was fun, fast.
Pleasure. Yeah.
Pleasure, maybe during a football game, whatever the case might be. But you were not getting letters. You were not getting phone calls, text, where lives were being changed. That is a huge, huge difference. So one, big risk, maybe small amount of reward on a big level, but risk is the key word. And then on this side of the coin, you're able to impact and change lives in a much greater added value. And I think that's the key word, value.
Value. Plus, what you touched on, how when you wanted to have it run properly, you were basically married to your business. You have no life. You were the time freedom that I remember when I first started business years back, and I had no role model because during communism, there was no private business ownership. It didn't exist. So I had nowhere to learn those ropes. But when we first started, and I kept hearing that phrase, you want to be the master of your time. When you have your own business, you want to be master of your time. And I was involved in a business very much like yours that I had to be there nonstop. And I was like, what time are they talking about? It's ridiculous. You have no time. You live there. If my family wanted to see me, they have to come to visit our business because I was there. I was there, either doing service or taking care of somebody didn't show up to work. It's exactly I can so relate to what you were saying. Compared to that, we have the entire infrastructure is out of our hands. Everything is taken care of. You don't even have to worry if people pay their invoice. You don't have to chase people that didn't pay for your services that you provided already. All that headache is gone. And I think this is something that I was so attracted to because I have gone traditional business and having employees, not as many as you, but it was biggest headache of my life. And foolishly, I said to myself, a promise to myself then, if I ever go back to business, it's going to be just based on me. I don't want to be responsible for anybody. If I make mistake, it's my mistake and I'm responsible for that. And of course it's foolish because you cannot grow business like that. You have limits. So all this it was offered to me through this model that I never knew existed. Of course, I knew about Amway and, you know, different companies. And I just would like to, if Denise could maybe address this, why people still have this kind of stigma around this business model when all the newest technologies and all the newest wonderful supplements are being shared this way in direct sales. What is in people's mind that prevents them to see this for what it is? Because in my opinion, what I see so far, it could be the fairest way to make a living, because you really only earn as much as you put into it and as much as you help other people grow. There's no way that somebody will outrun their CEO in their corporate career when they start on the bottom. There's very slim chance of that. Here you can start at zero, and within few years you can out earn the biggest earners of the company if you want to run it that way. So what would you say, why people still look at this kind of like shading?
I think it's lack of education, maybe poor choices in the past, lack of action. I think when people join companies like this in the past and they didn't know what to do, they didn't have mentors, or they just didn't put in the work, they see it as they failed, but really it was the company and it was the business model. So therefore they apply that lack of success to anything that looks or smells like that. This is so unique. I mean, for $40, like you said, you have a website, you have a payment system, you have a global app, you have tools, and you get to buy products for wholesale. You wouldn't even have to purchase your own products. You could just gather customers if you didn't have much money. So it is quite an amazing business model. And it's our jobs as redox educators to educate people that this is something unique and different. It's something they can be proud of. It can be their calling too. And if all they did was just get healthy themselves and help a few other people, that would be incredible if everyone could just help 2 people get healthy.
Yeah.
So,
What is the biggest meaning in this business for you? Because I know you're building it with Jerry, and which is fabulous that you have partnership on your side as well. But to you personally, Denise, what is the biggest meaning to starting something like that when you originally did?
starting something, I think the possibilities here are endless. The possibilities of who you can impact, you just never know. You can have a casual conversation with someone who talked to someone else who has a serious health challenge, and next thing you know, we're on the phone or Zoom listening to that person share what they've been dealing with for years and how the medical doctors, Western medicine and pharmaceuticals aren't working for them, or they're not accessible. The fact that we have this tool, that's so unique and can't hurt anything, 100% non-toxic, your body already makes it. Why would you not take it?
Yeah.
The proof is in the stories and in the science. And the marketing for this company is science, redox science. I just had my annual physical on Friday with the new doctor. And it was quite interesting. She said, "So what medications are you on?" I said, "None." "What supplements are you on?" I said, "Well, I have an omega prebiotic. Oh, and redox signaling molecules made of salt and water. Have you heard of redox science?" She said, "No." And it's just fascinating. You know, she's a UCLA, St. John's affiliated doctor, and they do not know. But what I did love is my after visit summary said on the supplement line, redox signaling molecules made from salt and water. So
Perfect.
someday I am going to educate the doctors there at UCLA about redox signaling molecules and redox science.
Yeah, that's one thing. We have many doctors involved, of course, and they
Mhm.
all admit that they never heard it before they joined the company. And they were super skeptical because if you don't learn about it at the medical school, you know, it doesn't exist. Well, Jerry, I wanted to ask you to kind of wrap this up with something super smart. with the wisdom that you have. For people that may be listening to us and we go from product effect to the business effect and what it can mean to somebody to impact their life, actually in both ways, as a health product or as a tool to improve your finances. What would you recommend to somebody who is evaluating this right now, listening to our stories that we have with experiences that we have with this product and a business model? Where do you start? What do you do when you start looking and thinking, well, maybe I can do something like that?
That's a great question. There's so many things that come to my head, but I'll just share with you a couple. Number one, I was told a long time ago, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I've heard the tremendous stories. And by the way, this is the first company that I ever heard the word ethos, principles over profits, principles and people, as well as the amount of tools. I'll just give you an example. We've talked about Dan Doyle, so many great leaders that are part of, let's just call it the foundation. I think of Alan Noble, a humble man that I have kind of a close relationship with, as close as you can have in a short period of time. Here's a person that has dedicated his life to creating the tools. And he will even say, I created these tools for me, but I don't keep them for myself. I want to share them with the world, with all of us. And it has made such an impact. Some of the best tools, as Denise mentioned, part of our career has been built around creating tools and marketing for companies. This is the first company where Denise can just say, oh my goodness, everything's already built for us. Yeah. And we owe a great amount of gratitude to one very brilliant Alan Noble, no question about it. So it's just going to be finding the right people that I would say that are like minds. They believe like we do that our that our health is our greatest wealth. Yes. You can enjoy money. We live in Los Angeles, a very, affluent area, very expensive. People are struggling, but yet there's still a tremendous amount of wealth in this area. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you don't have your health, how are you going to enjoy that? Having the ability to lock arms with Dan Doyle in his presentations, including the one we watched, last night on your podcast, he will always say that he'll ask people, what is the greatest thing about you and what is important to you? And they will say family. Well, that is true, but you can't enjoy your family if you don't have your health. Right. So it's just the ability to find people like ourselves that want to lock arms. Many of them are praying for a Vera or a Denise or a Jerry to share ASEA with them. So we just have to find the right people, continue to share, and you will find those people that are like us, that in many cases are going to fit the words of our potential. And I think that's a great way to sum it up, is the mantra we like to say about ASEA. We power potential. We do it in two ways, health and wealth. And then the other is to see lives being blossomed, coming out of nowhere. And it's because they had the potential in them already. This has just been the vehicle now that allows them to become just that potential that they were destined to be. It's amazing to watch it. And we're surrounded with it. There's nothing special. Denise has superpowers. I'm still trying to find my superpowers. I just like to be around a great team, a great amount of people. And it is teams win championships, not individuals. And so we power potential.
Thank you, Jerry, for that. I'm sure Denise knows your superpowers because strong woman like her, she would not be respecting man without superpowers.
Thank you, Vera.
It was such a joy. Thank you so much for giving me your valuable time. I just wanted to show people, the people of ASEA, because sometimes we really look at things and we have the tendency to dismiss it very quickly. And I believe the amount of high quality people that I found being linked with this company speaks for itself as well. And the support that you get, it's for anybody who has never done this before. I have never done this before. I have been in sales, but this is not sales. This is really working with people and helping them to develop. This is more personal development than business, I would say, because the biggest problem we have is right here between our ears to overcome our own doubts and overcome our own things that hold us back. And I have seen you, Jerry, work in this field and speaking on personal development very much. And I hope we will all do that. And it's my joy to introduce people like you so others can learn and get motivated that anybody can do this. Anybody with the right tools and with the right attitude can really change life for themselves. And not only for themselves, but with their business impacting lives of many others around them. And that's I think that's the goal that holds us all together and holds us with this company.
I agree. Can I share one quick thing?
Absolutely.
As of the background, this is a book that as a team, Denise and I have shared, and it is profound. It has helped us not only in our personal development to a whole new level, but the book is called Who, Not How. And Vera, you as an example, you're a who. You're a who to us. You're a who to many. ASEA has allowed us to be the who for others.
Yes.
And when you look at the great leaders in business and in life, it doesn't matter, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, um, any of the great ones, including our ASEA family, they can't do it on their own.
Yes.
It takes a collective, a collaboratory, or a collaborative effort. And all we need to do is find the who's to help us. And that really sums up powering potential. Find the who's and be a who for many. And I highly recommend that book. Who,
I actually know the author. I'm linked with him on LinkedIn. We have shared many conversations. I have the book, and you're absolutely right. And that was actually issue I had with my first businesses. I was doing the why. And I didn't look at it that I can outsource. I didn't look at it that I can delegate. I was trying to do everything myself, like you felt you need to do at the beginning for your businesses. And this is not that type of business. This is, yes, you have to connect with people and you have to educate and talk to people about it. But you are basically making friends. You are trying to find the other person that may be looking for that miracle or praying for that miracle, like you said. And all we're doing is sharing it with people and building others up. And if you build others up, then you are being built up as well. And I think that's the most amazing experience that I have made with this business so far. And thank you for that. And I just want to remind everybody, if anybody wants to reach to Jerry or Denise, if you are inspired by their story or by their personality and you would resonate with them, I'll put all the contact information in the show notes so you can reach out. And I would encourage you to, because He's one of the nicest people that I met. Again, ASEA brings us all together, and it's been really, really pleasure for me to spend this time with you. And thank you again for being here.
Our pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.